The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Media Mash, a roundtable of Cowboys insiders dropping wisdom and offering sizzling takes on the current state of your Dallas Cowboys. Now, your host, Newy Scruggs.
Let's ride! Media Mash on Tuesday. Crews up here, assembled and ready to go, all on their phones, seeking the latest information for you, Dallas Cowboy fans. All right, we've got Patrick Walker, DallasCowboys.com. We got Kevin Gray, 105.3 The Fan.
Yes, sir.
That's where Jerry Jones does his weekly radio show. Did it today. And John Machota of The Athletic. All right, sir. And I was waiting to do this all day. How many tweets have you sent today?
No, not that many. Not that many. Maybe 5 to 10. Today's been kind of a slow day.
Off day for you.
Yeah. No, just 5 to 10 so far.
So
the Cowboys were one. Maybe that would be at 15 or 20 right now, but I've dialed it back. You know, I've only sent out one Odell Beckham related tweet. No, actually two. And the fans are already annoyed by that. But hey, so I'm here to sell some hope.
God rested on the Sabbath. John just limited his stuff on a Tuesday. On his Sabbath. So,
right.
How desperate do they now sound about Odell Beckham Jr. coming off of this Green Bay Packer game? Should Cowboy fans be alerted at all? I know CeeDee Lamb had a good game, but you lost to a 3-6 team. You had a 14-point lead. You know where the panic goes, so start.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that they sound any more desperate than they sounded before this game. I think they don't need to say it publicly, but when you have a game like that where you come up short, and it's not like there's a lot of other pieces you can add right now. And he's clearly the best piece that's out there. And I understand Odell Beckham doesn't fix the run defense issues, but I think that they're as invested as ever and maybe even a little bit more after seeing that game, because there is a part of me that thought, hey, if they just keep winning, there could be as longer weeks and weeks that go by where they'll be like, you know, maybe we can just get this done. We don't need to go get Odell. We got the pieces right here. And I think after you watch that game and the way things went, it might not be a wide receiver, but it seems like they might be a little bit short there.
Okay.
This is a team that has its best receiver in the 36th percentile when it comes to separation in this league. And even with that, he had his best game on Sunday. I'm talking about CeeDee Lamb. You need a guy that's going to stretch the field, a guy that's going to make plays, attack the football. And Odell Beckham Jr., I think, does that. So I'm interested to see how this team moves. One thing we heard from the NFL Network's Jane Slater was that he's evaluating the playoff picture right now. He's trying to see who's where and what they're doing by the time he makes his decision, if he's going to make it by the end of the month. So to me, if you're the Cowboys, you had to keep winning to try and improve your chances on what Odell Beckham Jr. ultimately decides. So while the Cowboys, I think, have been the loudest ones in the room talking about it, there's a team other than the Cowboys that concerns me about possibly acquiring Odell Beckham Jr. services, and that team happens to be in Santa Clara, California. But I'm just going to leave that where it is right now.
Well, my dark horse remains my dark horse, and it's the Miami Dolphins. And I can't shake that for some reason. Well, not for some reason, for obvious reasons, because they're winning games for the most part. They're clearly all in this season. You have the intrigue of combining him with Waddle and Tyreek, and Tua is playing well. He's doesn't have the strongest arm, but he's getting it done down there. So keep an eye on Miami, in my opinion. But I think two things are true. Odell Beckham Jr. would make the Cowboys better. But I don't think that, in saying that, I don't think he changes the outcome of the game on Sunday, because, as John so eloquently stated, he doesn't play run defense. And you look at the situation where you allow 207 rushing yards at Lambeau Field, that's obviously going to give Aaron Rodgers concert to say, I don't need to throw 40 times. I can just throw 20 times, and all I need you to do, Christian Watson, is stop dropping the ball, right? So Christian Watson had 2 drops on the initial drive. Those drops disappeared, and Christian Watson, I said on Talking Cowboys, he subscribed to Twitter Blue and bought him a verification mark on Sunday against the Cowboys. He hadn't earned it before then. He went out and bought one on Sunday. So you can't have that happen. And, you know, whether you say, well, and the loss of Anthony Brown, and of course Anthony Brown was the one targeted on the first big touchdown to Christian Watson. You lose Anthony Brown, so now you're really leaning on youth. Kelvin Joseph, Deron Bland, both of them got victimized in different ways by Christian Watson. Odell just doesn't fix that. Now, again, does he make the Cowboys better? Yes, but because he doesn't fix those glaring errors that led to the Cowboys' loss, in my opinion, it doesn't create any more urgency than existed prior to Sunday.
You know what else could be kind of annoying to Cowboys fans, and I would totally understand this, is that you can also point to in that game that, maybe they ran the ball not enough. You go back, you look at the box score, you got Dak Prescott throwing 46 times. If you go and put Odell Beckham on the field, do you think that number's going down?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not. And that's a large reason that they gave up the 14-point lead was because they kind of got away from it. So Tony Pollard, he had a 100-yard game, but not all runs are created the same. And for those that were asking me, they were saying, do I think that the Cowboys missed Zeke on Sunday? I do, because of the type of running style that Zeke gives you in the 4-minute drill and the 2-minute drill when you're trying to maintain a 2-possession lead and you want to use the clock in your favor. That's a different type of runner that you have in Zeke, and you didn't have him on the field on Sunday, and I think it showed. So.
Anybody know what Ndamukong Suh is doing these days?
Not playing football.
Right.
At least not professionally.
He looks like he's big chilling right now.
Yeah.
Would that be worthy of a phone call? Hey.
You know what I said on talking this morning about Ndamukong Suh? We had a caller that dialed in and asked about that. And I said, and this is me speculating, I wonder if the Cowboys do have interest in Suh, but they don't want to accidentally burn the turkey because they're staring at the cornbread. And I say that to say you would like to see what happens with this OBJ situation first. What kind of deal would you have to get him on? What kind of salary cap hit would you take before you go doling out money to Ndamukong Suh? Because Suh's not going to come cheap either. I'm not saying he's going to break the bank, but the Cowboys aren't the only defense that have determined in November that, hey, we need to drop a big boy in the middle.
And I agree with Patrick on everything he's saying, but I'm just going to give you what else is out there just to give a little bit more context to the conversation, is that Stephen Jones was asked last week if there is anybody outside of Odell. It was on 105.3. If there was anybody outside of Odell, and he said no, that was the only notable free agent. All the other guys would be guys that would be practice squad type people. And then, Dan Quinn yesterday saying how he believes he has all the guys in-house, that they can, more than certain that they'll fix this run defense. With all that being said, though, I still agree with what Patrick said, that why would you announce that? Why would you bring it up? Because no one else is talking. Yeah, no one else is talking about that. And if they don't think that the guys are there on the run defense, they're not going to a podium and saying that. Yeah, no, we don't have the guys. Like, why would you say that? There's no other. How are you going to fix it then?
There could be some subterfuge there, because if you would have asked Dan Quinn, and he asked Dan Quinn before the Jonathan Hankins trade, if he had the right personnel to stop the run, the answer was going to be yes. And guess what they went and did? They traded for Jonathan Hankins.
Yep.
So there you go.
The organization says things, and Jerry said, just because I said it doesn't make it so. That's one thing he said.
I'm starting to find that out firsthand.
They can, just like they told us all camp, and Patrick and John, you guys were there. How many times did Stephen Jones tell us, we like our guys? We like our guys. Well, now you don't like your guys. Now you realize, okay, no, we got an issue. What we thought wasn't. So that's why I ask about Ndamukong Suh. You ask about Odell Beckham Jr. because you got some warts to fill on your football team here.
I think when he said that, though, I think that he was probably feeling better about what they would get from their third-round pick wide receiver, and there's probably a little bit of hope.
His guy.
Right, but
your guy.
He's coming.
There's a little bit of hope connected with, too, that they probably were hoping that Michael Gallup would be a little bit further ahead than what he is. But you always run those, type risks when it's a guy coming off a serious injury. And for him, the only injury he's ever had of that significance.
There's some talk about why Parsons played more linebacker than played defensive end. That just kind of the Twitter scuttlebutt, because after a loss, there's going to be an overreaction. How'd you take that?
My question wasn't necessarily to Micah Parsons, because Dan Quinn has shown me that he knows how to utilize Micah Parsons. He knows how to scheme Micah Parsons. He does. Now, I will say, I don't know if it's because Micah is less than 100%, but when I was going back charting the plays and looking at the film, there were a couple of plays that Micah normally would make that he didn't make. So it just kind of makes me wonder if it was just, nerves because he wanted to make that play for Mike McCarthy, given all the circumstances, or if he just didn't take the right angle. Now, because the second play from scrimmage for the Green Bay Packers, it was a run, Aaron Jones, actually shovel pass to the right, Aaron Jones, and everybody's engaged except Micah. Micah has clean air to Aaron Jones. and he takes the inside shoulder instead of the outside. So that exposed the edge, and Aaron Jones just hit the turbo, and he made it the edge. So that became like a 4 or 5 yard gain. If Micah makes that play, that's a 2-yard loss, and that's the first instance that you could look at Matt LaFleur and say, you might want to rethink this. You might want to rethink this whole I want to run thing, and then maybe that starts to change the dynamic of the game. So Micah Parsons was schemed, and I use that example to say that he was schemed in great positions more often than not, even albeit from a linebacker position against the Packers. He just didn't always make the appropriate decision on the right angle. And again, could it be because he's less than 100%? We know he's been battling some things, so that could be it. Or it could be that in a combination of him just really trying to do it for coach.
It was a little alarming to hear him say after the game that about the accountability. Yeah. And maybe it was me. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I just hadn't heard those things since the 2020 run defense, where there were plays exactly like you described, where there were way too many of those. And then after games, guys would talk about, there were certain guys trying to do too much and things like that. The only other thing I wanted to add on that is I also don't think he plays that much linebacker if Anthony Barr is healthy.
Yeah, so, that's going to lead me to something else. I'll let Kev tap in on this one.
Yeah, because, that was where I was going to go. What choice did they have on Sunday? Run defense is not playing well. You're down a linebacker.
Well, you brought up a good point the other day on Damone Clark.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I like to raise my hand and offer a choice. Damone Clark, honestly, you didn't expect his debut to force him into 40 defensive snaps against the Bears when you lose Barr. But in doing so, yes, you saw some rookie hiccups, but you saw some flashes as well. I don't see a reason that coming out of a bye off of a game like that you would diminish him to 7 defensive snaps against the Packers when you're getting gashed in the run and you don't have Anthony Barr. If you want to drop Micah down a little bit more, move him around more, my question is, why does Damone only have 7? And I posed that question to Mike McCarthy, and he said that the expectation was not for Damone to have 40 snaps again in this game. That's fair. But I don't know that I got clarity on why it went from 40 to 7, especially in real time when you see your guys getting gashed like that. And Damone, which is a run stopper, he still needs to acclimate. But at that point, you got to throw it all on the table, right, and see what sticks. And, seeing Damone on the sideline for most of that defensive contest was a little bit unnerving.
With that being said, the defense was still not playing the way that they were capable of playing, given the fact that you were down a linebacker. Even if you bring Clark in there, Micah is your best defender. And if he's as versatile as we believe that he is, he's got to be able to play where we need him to play on that particular day. And they needed him in the run defense. And I feel like where the resources needed to be allocated, that's why I felt like he played as much off-ball linebacker as he did, because they really had no choice, even with the idea of Clark possibly playing the way he did.
And there's very few games that the Cowboys play bad when Micah plays really well.
Yeah.
Very few times.
All right.
So we were there in the locker room listening to Micah Parsons, and plenty of people had the sound. I took it as, here's a team that gave up 240 yards to the Bears and 29 points. And then the next week against a team that's 3-6, it's lost 5 straight. You give up 200 yards of rushing and you give up 31 points. This is against bad teams.
Right.
Now you go face a team that is good, who can run the ball. People talk about Dalvin Cook, but Madison is a guy who can get out to the outside as well. So so you've got that. Then you got Jonathan Taylor. Then you're going to have Pierce coming up.
Pierce with Houston. Yeah.
So this Saquon.
King Henry.
This thing is coming.
It's not stopping.
Right, baby. They're coming. We're coming. So better to get this out, whatever frustrations you have. If somebody's not getting it done, this is the time to go ahead and fix this, because you almost got away with it with 2 bad teams. Now you're coming into some teams here that are good. So McCarthy spoke about how conflict can be okay. Parcells used to always say low conflict is good. I don't mind guys pointing out the issues and going and being bold enough to fix them with each other.
Well, for Micah, it's not the first time that it was the most passionate that he's spoken about it, but it's not the first time he's alluded to this, because when you look at the loss in Philadelphia, one of the comments that he made was guys need to stay within themselves as far as not trying to over-pursue, not trying to make the play, just handle your assignment. Not trying to play hero ball,
yeah.
Yeah, and so basically what he said in Green Bay was just an echoing of what he said after the previous loss in Philadelphia. So that's why I'm not too thrown aback by it. Right. It's not like he's throwing anyone under the bus. He's saying what actually needs to happen. Guys need to stop over pursuing, and I know he understands this as well, and he will admit it readily. It includes him as well, because again, if you go back to the second play from scrimmage, he had Aaron Jones dead to rights. He over pursued. Yeah. So he's owning it as much as he is spreading it around the table.
I think what concerns me now is that, and you watched the film, I'm sure you did as well, that you're starting to see some smoke and mirrors trying to go out here and defend opposing rushing attacks now. Stunts and trying to do different things to get guys schematically in place. And there's not enough physicality for you to go and win your one-on-one matchups to shed blocks and be able to go and get guys that I feel like now you're trying to figure out ways to get guys in the right position to make plays. And so instead of instinctively reacting and go out and making plays, now guys got to start thinking about where do I need to be based on what's going on here. And I think a lot of that is starting to show up, and I think a lot of that started to show up on Sunday against Green Bay.
All right, let's hit a break here. Jerry Jones spoke today on 105.3 The Fan. He does every Tuesday. Let's break things down with our esteemed panel. Patrick Walker, DallasCowboys.com. Kevin Gray, 105.3 The Fan. John Machota, The Athletic. I'm Newy Scruggs. This is the Media Mash on DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, singing, and toasting Miller Lite in 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
When you build, you start with the foundation. And home ownership is a foundation of a stable future. The Bank of America Community Home Ownership Commitment has helped over 34,000 people lay the groundwork so far, with up to $10,000 towards your down payment or 3% of the purchase price, whichever is less. The satisfaction of owning your own place can become a reality. Visit bankofamerica.com/homeowner to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America N.A. Equal Housing Lender. Credit and collateral is subject to approval. Restrictions apply. This is not a commitment to lend.
The season is finally here. For months, we've been gearing up to win. Now it's time for the team that performs on any field. United Ag and Turf. With John Deere zero turns for mowing, compact tractors for loading, mini excavators for digging, Gator utility vehicles for hauling, implements for grading, hay tools for baling. United Ag and Turf. For winning. The official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com for more.
Back to Media Mash.
Hey. Monster numbers, by the way, for the Cowboys-Packers game on Fox. The overtime.
Oh, I like this stuff. This is good stuff.
This is Machota's Avenue right here.
Overtime thriller between the two teams.
Okay.
And the national fan base has averaged 29.2 million, making it the most watched NFL game on any network this season.
Where we got this? Where's this at? Where are we getting this from?
I think I saw it initially like on Front Office Sports or something like that.
An NFC championship game.
There you go.
Tweet the
that.
Cowboys coach tweeting that out?
It looks like it. Looks like it.
I mean, his name's Michael McCarthy.
Yeah. So there you go. So a whole lot of folks. A whole lot of folks. 29. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of
29 million people watching Aaron Rodgers rise from the ashes. So there you go.
Full Undertaker.
The Cowboys.
Full Undertaker.
It is pretty similar. Those are pretty close. It was 27 or 28 million, I remember, for the last time they played the Packers, the one at AT&T Stadium where Rodgers beat them late. It was something like that, too, and it was the number one game for the season, too. Same deal, that 3:30 time slot. So, I mean, obviously, hey, you were there. I mean, you guys saw it. It makes no sense how you have this organization, this sports powerhouse in the middle of this town in Wisconsin.
Great.
It's just fascinating. Like if you get a chance to go out there, even if there's not a game, just go check this out because it makes no sense. Like how this just amazing stadium is in the middle of like I don't know, just looks like a regular suburb that I grew up in Warren, Michigan. You know, like.
Have you ever been to Canton?
I haven't. No.
I've been to Canton.
It's like that.
And Buffalo's kind of like that, too.
And Buffalo's.
Yeah.
These are two places where you're just driving in the neighborhood, boom, there's a stadium.
Right.
Boom, there's the stadium right there.
Right.
Really? And calling it a town is really nice. It's really a village more than town.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, look, my folks from Fayetteville, that's a town.
Yeah.
That's a town. Ain't no city, it's a town. No, this is like a little village here. I mean,
You got a Walmart, though?
Got
They got
Cabela's.
Cabela's. More importantly, more importantly, there's a Cabela's right there. And I will say this: there were too many Cowboy fans underdressed walking into that place.
Okay.
Yeah. When I saw them around noontime walking in, I just thought, man, them 2 layers ain't gonna work. Your jeans not protecting you here. And I know you don't have no long john because I looked down and I saw regular socks. I mean, you're not ready for that.
You're not ready for that.
You are not ready for this. Meanwhile, Packer fan is all loaded up with real gloves, not the isotoners.
Yeah.
I saw folks out there. I saw these ladies who had those, those nice little thin thing, the little, leggings.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Next thing you know, you see them pulling on the little ski pants to walk on it. They're ready. They're ready. Okay, they got on hoodies. They're layered. You can see them because I lived up in the north. They're layered up.
Yeah.
Cowboy fan go with 2 layers. Like, what you doing? Your I'm cold coat in Texas ain't working here, man.
Not here.
Like that little Columbia thing that you got on, Patrick, right there. So people will show up with like a CeeDee Lamb jersey and that. That's not cutting it.
Yeah.
Like even the beanie. I brought 2 beanies.
Yeah.
Maybe this, bald head, like it's gonna cut you. It's gonna cut you. And then of course Bobby Belt, 105.3 The Fan. Bobby kept on, I'm gonna go out in the stands with the people, go out there.
Yeah.
I said, man, you're not going anywhere. No, I'm gonna go out there. I can do it. Bobby, what are you gonna wear? Well, I got my sport coat. Bobby.
He went down.
I did.
He came back.
I went out there for about an hour and a half, like before the game.
Oh, look at you.
Kind of walk around doing stuff. But I have been there before, and so I had several
I was
layers
about to say, but
on
you're
and
from,
like that.
Michigan.
Yeah. But I was like prepared for it. But no, I'm telling you, the thing that blew me away is that I started doing some research about, so across the street from the stadium are these houses. We're talking $150,000 to $170,000 homes, typically in other spots. But because their backyard is basically Lambeau, there's people that buy them, refurbish them. They make them worth like $600,000 to $800,000 just because of where the real estate is. There was one house there. They put in turf in the backyard. They bought the house. They paid, I think it was $500,000 over asking price. Knocked the house down, put in this 4-story house in the back. 3 stories of it is just like open window glass that like would be those houses on the beach in like Oxnard, that are right on.
Lambeau.
4 stories, $1.6 million they put in this thing, and they have all kinds of like business seminars, things like that. So obviously people in the community don't necessarily love it, and they're little like 2 bedroom, 1 bath ranch across the street, stuff like that. But it's like it is just crazy that this team is just in the middle of Green Bay, Wisconsin, and it just like you just get the feeling when you're there that you're like, this thing provides money for everybody, everything.
Funds infused,
and it keeps growing and growing and growing. Every time I go there, the first time I went there was 2008, and then just even from then till now, just every time I go there, there's something new being built around there.
It was rough though.
And there's just no way you can tell me that that's going on if they don't have that success they had in the early 90s. There's just no way. And then how it just kept growing since then to where they are obviously now, like wild.
It's clear in certain places. You look at Indianapolis, what Peyton Manning's run did for what they were able to build down there.
For sure.
The Staples Center with Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe in downtown LA, because I remember it was nothing, and now it's built up. And so that is what happens when you win. I mean,
you think the Cowboys get AT&T Stadium if they don't have the 90s?
They need to build Parcells. So I was here for that whole deal, and that was real simple. Jerry needed a stadium. Bill Parcells had gone through a divorce and needed money. So these 2 guys got together. They needed each other. Jerry needed Bill's credibility to build the stadium, and Bill needed to refurbish his retirement. And they worked out well for both of them.
For sure.
And now you look at what a lot of people don't realize, most of that, where AT&T Stadium, the area, that's the Rangers pretty much. That's all they. But just look at what they've done and what they've been able to do. And they're still building one. They're going to build the convention center down. There's a whole lot more that's going to be built down there. And people are trying to figure out, and I was talking to Rob Matwick, the president of the Rangers, how can we keep you here? Because before, when you went down there to Lambeau, hey, you're just driving for the game and that's it. But now you saw where people were showing up to this thing at 10, 11 in the morning. They're there all day long. How can we keep more of your dollars here? So here's a hotel.
Texas Live.
They put all these condos in this Titletown thing in Green Bay that you're just like, why would these be here if it wasn't for,
See the flat. They have a big old complex of apartments over there for flats. And so that whole premise is, and this is where the smart business owners of these teams are. How can we figure out how to make more money? And then look where we're at right here at the Star. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
They've got all
can't even find a parking spot.
The hotel. Right. Jerry owns the hotel. Right. Jerry owns the hotel. You walk across the street. You want to shop. They own all that.
Yeah.
And that's where Jerry has taught people how to make money.
Yeah.
and you just see
Jerry and Roger have a very nice 12
man.
condo complex, luxury condo complex, by the way.
I mean, look at the Chicago Bears. I mean, I was telling some friends, I hope they'll leave Soldier Field. I was like, bro, they're not staying there.
Yeah, they're out of there.
I said, they're going to the racetrack. Ask yourself in the league who built the stadium on a racetrack. Stan Kroenke. What else is Stan building over there? More and more stuff. Like the Bears, they've now seen, they want to.
I get that. But for the fans to have that Green Bay type experience, I do kind of hate that they're going to leave Soldier Field. Like there is something about that they've done with Soldier Field, kind of what Lambeau did, where it's like it's still at least part of what it was, and they keep building up around it, and you keep that history, but. I mean,
it's the same thing in Oakland with the Golden State Warriors. Right. In the middle of Oakland, California, all the fans who loved Oracle Arena, we're going to make this $1 billion over here at Chase Center, and we're going to build that and have everybody come out here and go,
the situation on that is, so you've got just two it's the Bay Area, but these are two different cities,
completely
2 different counties. So the money's in San Francisco. The owners are San Francisco people. So they wanted to get that team across the Bay and back over there.
San Francisco is pretty cool compared to, what is it, Arlington Heights, I think is where the Bears are going. I think that's right.
It's Arlington Heights. But
it's fine, but it's not. But the Soldier Field is awesome, man. Like being right on Lake Michigan like that.
But you don't control or own.
I know.
So that's the whole thing.
I'm talking about liking history.
Nostalgia. He's on the nostalgia train.
Exactly.
Okay, we're messing with John's youth.
Yes.
You're killing off the rest of his
probably
youth.
My father's youth and my grandfather. It goes back for a while.
Go hang out with Richie Whitt, and he could tell you how he used to go to the Cotton Bowl with his dad and watch the Cowboys. Things change.
Yeah. No, you're right.
You can't stay in the Silver Dome forever, John. You got to move to Ford Field at some point.
They need to get rid of the Silver Dome. They need to get rid of the Silver Dome.
Laker fan has made an adjustment from the Forum. They're okay. Atlanta Fulton County
That's
Stadium.
True.
You're okay driving to Cobb County, aren't you?
No, I'm about to say I don't think he could.
That's a soft spot.
Shouts out to
Truist.
You
went low. Yeah.
Shouts out to Truist. It's a beautiful park. It's magnificent. But as a Georgia boy and former Atlanta native who's been to Hank Aaron and then Turner, those were mainstays in the heart of the city. And then you move Truist, which was SunTrust previously, out to Cobb County, and anyone who has lived in Atlanta knows that trek out to Cobb County, traffic and just everything, just the area, it's just not conducive.
It's one level. It is one level below Jim Irsay. The Mayflower choice. They just moved us. There was no vote. It was just the Braves. We gone.
We gone.
What?
Yeah, I wasn't feeling that when they left Fulton County. Shouts out to Cobb County. I actually lived out in Cobb for a while as well, which is why I can speak to it from an empathy standpoint. That wasn't it. Beautiful stadium though. Beautiful stadium.
Believe me, man.
But the Braves belong in Fulton County.
I used to feel that way when they told us we're gonna come out to Frisco. Like what? What you coming all the way out here for? So now you're all the way out here. All right, Jerry Jones spoke on your station today.
He did.
105.3 The Fan at 8:30. What did he say?
I almost said everything and nothing at the same time, so I just said it. Look, he realized that there was a missed opportunity in Green Bay, and not just on the front of keeping up with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Minnesota Vikings, but what that means possibly for the Odell Beckham Jr. situation as well. And I think there's a recognition for him about not only what yesterday's game meant and how that could be a larger stepping stone to either something better or a descending point to something a little bit worse, depending on what happens in the next couple of weeks. But he realized there was a golden opportunity missed yesterday. And until this team finds a way to find that consistency, especially with the run defense, those opportunities may continue to slip past him because, as you mentioned earlier, it's not going to get easier with Minnesota next week and then obviously taking on the Giants when they come in for Thanksgiving. So the biggest takeaway for me was missed opportunity in the way that he felt about his Cowboys missing that yesterday.
After the game, I thought he only talked for maybe 3 or 4 minutes, but I thought the biggest thing after the game was he was really hammering home on the whole we were coming off the bye, and he touched on that a little bit more today. That's the thing I think that's bothering him the most. And hey, to be honest, Mike McCarthy, we talked about it on one of the shows last week. Great record coming out of the bye. Cowboys going into that game. So since they drafted Dak and Zeke, 5-1 coming out of the bye.
McCarthy was 11-4 after the bye week.
So they were expecting a better output considering they were coming off the bye and rested for the most part, certainly in better shape than the Packers were in that game, going into that game. That was probably my biggest that I took away from that.
And they still could have hung 40+. I mean, you take away those 2 miscommunications that turned into interceptions that then turned into 14 points, and you still walked the Packers like a dog on their own field. But
you didn't.
But you didn't. And so to Jerry's point, it was a missed opportunity, and both sides of the coin are equally true. One, it's a missed opportunity because, especially after seeing what the Commanders were able to do and handing the Eagles their first defeat, wow, God, we missed a chance the Cowboys should be thinking, we missed a chance to gain ground on the Eagles. But you flip to the other side of the coin, and you did lose against Green Bay, so now you're hoping the Eagles lost, and they did, so the Eagles didn't, put any distance between you and them. So, I mean, it could also be said, well, now you got the Commanders coming up on the rear. And I said it last night on Twitter, hold your breath until I start worrying about the Commanders, and you'll die from asphyxiation. Wow. You'll die from asphyxiation. I'm not worried about the Commanders. I'm not worried about Taylor Heineke. I know anything is possible on any given Sunday, and I know Chase Young is coming back, but we talk about guys who have to ramp up. Guess who is coming off of another torn ACL? And Chase Young. And he's coming in on the coldest part of the season, needs to ramp up. He's going to have to get his legs behind him. I'm not worried about them. I'm worried about the ones at the top, which is the Eagles.
Carson Wentz is coming back, so you.
Well, that just serves.
He's not going to see the field.
Well,
Don't do that.
Listen, that just makes my point even more.
He's not going to see the field.
That's my joke to my commander. Oh yeah, wait till Carson's back. You can't sit a man. You can't sit a man like Carson. You gave a capital draft picks for the guy.
Yeah. And Terry McLaurin put Darius Slay in a blender.
He put in work last night. He was fun to watch.
You know who he's not been able to put in the blender yet in his career?
Yeah, Trayvon. Yeah.
I'm not worried about McLaurin, and that's not a knock against McLaurin. It's just saying I have something that can delete you. And then the question becomes, can the pass rush get after Taylor Heineke and that offensive line? And the answer is yes. So I'm not worried about who's coming up behind me. I'm worried about who's in the windshield.
So does Trayvon travel this week with Jefferson, and what is your concern level for Anthony Brown coming off the concussion?
Yeah, there's definitely concern there with concussions. I mean, you don't know. Every player is different. I mean, I would say I don't think that Trayvon will follow him. I think he'll play a lot on him, but he just isn't a guy that they really. And maybe it's not just a Trayvon thing. Maybe it's a Dan Quinn thing. He travels from time to time, but it's not. He isn't a guy that Dan Quinn has been like, okay, who's the other team's best receiver? Trayvon's on him the entire game. They just haven't operated that way. So I don't expect that to happen. Maybe that's a wrinkle that they throw in there and they go with that, but. I don't know why you would do much different than you did last year against them. I mean,
it worked last year.
Yeah. I think what concerns
me. They have different DBs than last year.
Yeah.
You had Jordan Lewis.
Yeah.
You had Anthony Brown. You got Trayvon Diggs, and you could be sitting up here with Kelvin Joseph and Deron Bland.
Yeah.
Playing major minutes.
You don't feel good about that?
I mean, you was there.
Yeah,
you was there.
To Kelvin's credit, and Watson did blend him up a couple times, but Kelvin, he almost sealed the game with that forced fumble on Aaron Jones. Just didn't bounce the Cowboys' way. But
Jones got it back.
The effort was.
Did you feel that way, Newey? Go ahead.
You don't think that could? That could seal the game?
Here's the thing, and I've been saying this on the radio, is that a cornerback room is only as good as its second corner. Especially when you got a shutdown guy in Trayvon, which I think we're starting to believe that he is in this league. And if you're telling me on Sunday you're going to run out Deron Bland and Kelvin Joseph against an experienced wide receiver in Adam Thielen. I know Thielen's not what he used to be. This is still a good receiver, though. And now you got to worry about T.J. Hockenson as well. So I'm not just concerned about Justin Jefferson. I'm worried about the other guys like Thielen and Hockenson and these guys making plays, because now you've got multiple dimensions that Kevin O'Connell's going to be able to scheme guys open. I think that's one of the things I've appreciated about his game so far in his coaching, is that he's getting Justin Jefferson open in different spots. Yeah, he's an incredible receiver, but he's getting guys in spots where they can make plays. And that, to me, is going to be a big concern on Sunday against Minnesota.
It has to be, at least until you see what's happening with Anthony Brown. And Mike McCarthy said on yesterday that Brown definitely has a chance to play on Sunday. But I said this on Twitter after I tweeted McCarthy's optimism, in that the concussion protocol is not subjective. It just is what it is, and Brown has to pass the hurdles to get back on the field, and it's even more stringent now so in the post-Tua days. So if there are any doubts, or if there's any threshold that he can't get past, he's not going to be on the field on Sunday. And keep in mind, ideally the Cowboys would want Anthony Brown to clear concussion protocol and get at least one full practice in before he plays. If all of that doesn't happen, you're looking at Kelvin Joseph, maybe Kelvin versus Nashawn Wright. But that's still youth on the outside opposite Trevon Diggs. And then obviously you got the rookie and Deron Bland. And it's, there are weapons over there in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you've got that, and you've got the Cowboy run defense. And Vegas has the Cowboys favored by, was it 2 or 4 points in this one?
That's John's
right
bag.
before kickoff, it was 4. You're talking about the Packers or the Vikings game?
The Vikings game.
Oh, the Vikings is, I think, 1.5.
Okay. All right. So it's
even.
Wow.
Yeah. So they have faith in this Cowboys team. Went up to Minnesota last year.
Well, the game's not at noon either, so there's also that.
That actually does matter.
that may be that. So we'll see where it goes. By the way, before I forget, I keep mentioning. Thank you, Chris Breen, for sending me this. Ben DiNucci picked up by the Seattle Sea Dragons.
Yep.
The XFL.
Hey, shout out to the XFL.
DiNucci.
So good luck.
Is that their real name?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, don't hate on the XFL like that, John. Relax. Relax
Seattle
now.
Sea Dragons, baby. If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
Hey. Look at, there you go.
Got the Nuge
There
going
you
over
go.
there, so good luck to him.
I thought you might have accidentally mixed up the name with something. Sorry. Just wanted to double check.
No, I mean, I'm sure.
Go do your XFL research, John. Come on now.
Sure,
Come on now.
Wish he could, maybe his agent try to arrange a trade to the Arlington Renegades. So he can
you never know.
What are they on?
They were the
Attempt
Renegades.
number 3?
They were the Renegades before.
Devontae Turpin might
waste
show
your
up.
They were
time
the
until
Dallas
you need
Renegades.
to actually do it.
Right, but they released the Renegades, so I knew that. I didn't even.
Okay.
Is a Sea
And
Dragon?
don't disrespect PJ Walker,
that.
man. Don't disrespect
Is
PJ
a Sea
Walker.
Dragon
man.
real?
Former XFLer.
Yes.
I don't know what that
real.
is.
The only reason I wouldn't disrespect him is because he quite literally has my son's name. My son is PJ Walker.
I'll say there you go. See, look at that.
Other than the greatness of his name, I don't know that I have faith in.
You gonna hate on Donald Parham? You gonna hate on
got
Donald
him a
Parham
jersey?
too?
Nah, what I'm saying when it comes to the XFL, and anyone who knows me particularly knows I'm a huge wrestling guy, and The Rock is my
Same.
GOAT. The Rock is my GOAT. So I hope that everything The Rock touches turns to gold, and normally it does. But as far as the XFL is concerned, this is correct me if I'm wrong, this is their third go at it. So until, as a league, they show me they have staying power, I'm not going to go do a whole bunch of deep diving into XFL scouting and stats. So just show me, and then I'll build it, and then I will come.
Who's your favorite wrestler, Newey? Who's your GOAT wrestler?
I love The Rock.
Yeah.
I love The Rock, but I was a Flair guy.
Oh.
I was,
Yeah, that fits. This is
Yeah,
That
Flair.
totally. That's on brand.
Dirtiest player in the game.
Tommy
yeah.
Wildfire Rich.
Okay. All right.
What does
Junkyard
Roddy?
Dog.
What does Roddy?
Oh, Junkyard Dog. There you go.
You hated Rowdy?
Hated it.
Oh, was that?
Oh, he
you
is
hated
true.
him
Okay.
as
Dusty-
far as him being the heel, or
Dusty
you
Rhodes
just
was my
weren't
thing.
feeling
Dusty Rhodes was my
Rowdy?
man.
Hey.
Son of a plum. Dusty Rhodes, the American dream.
Yeah.
Ric Flair. Dusty Rhodes is gonna have something for you in Columbus.
Please mark all of that, Chris.
I mean-
Please mark all of
What
that.
are we doing?
Man.
Please.
Yo, that was
you
was-
posed the question.
I know,
This
but I didn't think it
on.
was-
See,
That's on you.
You grew up in a time when this was. I was living in Savannah, Georgia. So man, this was like the thing that we did as kids. Well,
Yeah. Listen, the
it
cardboard.
was one college. Okay.
You cut out the belt out of a cardboard box and you wrap it in
So it was
aluminum.
You
one
don't think I
Wow.
grew up in that? Like, I'm 40 years old. I grew up in that vitamin Say Your Prayers Hulk Hogan era.
See that was by then he was off the. We went down with that. He was off the boat.
Yeah,
This guy's phony guy.
yeah.
Rocky III Club, whatever. What was he? Thunder Lips. Like
No holds barred.
right. I
This
thought he
is
was
my
a
fault.
clown.
This is this is.
should've
I'm
done
here for the
All
wrestling
right,
talk, man.
Let's take a break.
The Rock and Shawn Michaels.
Shout out to Stone Cold Steve
Let's
Austin.
take a
See,
break.
if the Cowboys were just won on Sunday, we wouldn't be doing this.
Hey, well, you know.
The tie-in is that WrestleMania was here.
That's right. Hey,
See,
there you go. Look at there.
You always bring it back to the sports side. There's your
Okay.
sports tie right there. John Machota.
Everything's
Grant.
pro wrestling, John.
Patrick Park. I'm Rich Grant. This is the Media Man. It's on DallasCowboys.com radio.
The season is finally here. For months, we've been gearing up to win. Now it's time for the team that performs on any field, United Ag and Turf. With John Deere zero turns for mowing, compact tractors for loading, mini excavators for digging, Gator utility vehicles for hauling, implements for grading, hay tools for baling. United Ag and Turf, for winning. The official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com for more.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
This sweet! Did you get to work on time?
Yeah, but I just realized it's Sunday.
Little Sweet says head on home. Dr. Pepper's on its way. So sweet, unique. Baby, there's nothing better. I bet you've probably done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper. Did you invest your nest egg in an NFT?
Yeah, and I don't even know what that is.
It's a non-fungible token. Everyone's done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper.
When you build, you start with the foundation. And home ownership is a foundation of a stable future. The Bank of America Community Home Ownership Commitment has helped over 34,000 people lay the groundwork so far, with up to $10,000 towards your down payment or 3% of the purchase price, whichever is less. The satisfaction of owning your own place can become a reality. Visit bankofamerica.com/homeowner to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America N.A. Equal Housing Lender. Credit and collateral is subject to approval. Restrictions apply. This is not a commitment to lend.
Back to Media Mash.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Jerry Jones proudly presents to you the Media Mash. Patrick Walker, Kevin Gray, John Machota, the Media Mash All-Star.
Yeah, the Randy one. That's right. Yeah, the pose. That's right. It's your fault, John. It's your fault, man. It's your fault. Oh, you ain't got nothing to say now, John? Ain't got nothing to say now?
I'm going to look at Twitter.
As soon as you stand up, doing RKO. He's going to RKO you.
Oh, man.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Someone put the table behind
him. Table, ladders, and chairs, man.
Yes,
There you go.
Put the people's phone down, John. Put the people's phone down. Engage with us right now, John.
John is the people's Twitter.
He is.
Now the people's Cowboys. That's what you are, John.
Yes, he is. All
You're
right.
the people's Twitter on Cowboys Nation for Cowboys Nation.
Come Wednesday, how do they get this thing toward Minnesota and take this whole loss behind them and get better?
Okay, well, I think there's two sides of it. One, offensively, Dak and the receivers have to get on the same page. There can't be this miscommunication.
Yeah.
You start out that game in Minnesota like that, it's over. You're not going to beat them. Defensively, they're going to have to clean up their miscommunication, but they're going to have to get cleaner on their tackles. I will say the one thing that positive that will come out of this is they won't miss as many tackles on Sunday. Generally speaking, in football, if you miss a bunch of tackles or you play poorly in defense like that, you're going to play better the following week. So I think those are the two big things there. But yeah, with Dak, I understand like you got to be on the same page and there's miscommunication there. I just don't love where those passes, like being in the middle of the field. I just think the risk reward to those wasn't great in those situations. I know sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't, but kind of where this team is at, and then where that 5-game losing streak Packers team was at, I just feel like you just can't give them any momentum. There's got to be just some balls you just throw them out of bounds, live to fight another play. You can do some of that stuff against the Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions. You can't be doing that against good teams. You certainly can't be doing that against the Vikings on Sunday.
And Dak actually did that on later in the game when in the red zone play collapsed. He threw it away. Very next play, touchdown. See how that works?
Imagine if he had done that on the first drive.
You live to fight another play. But I tell you what, one thing that money on the table. We'll see how this week goes in practice. But money on the table. Who the Cowboys will probably not be missing this week? Anthony Barr. I don't think Anthony Barr misses this game unless his leg has fallen off. And to that point, I think Anthony Barr is really looking to play out of his mind against his former Minnesota Vikings team. And if that happens, and if he's on the field and playing very well, that in and of itself should help try to contain some of that running attack from Madison and Dalvin Cook. And then the onus kind of becomes on that secondary we talked about. I mean, if you're without Anthony Brown, there's going to be a lot of pressure there. So that inherently is going to put pressure on the safeties as well. They're probably going to have to play more coverage than they normally would. That I'm looking at Donovan Wilson in that capacity. But if you're playing Dono in coverage more, guess where he's not? He's not at the line of scrimmage helping in run support. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. I think that as these game reps continue to ramp up, you'll see fewer and fewer miscommunications between Lamb and Schultz and Dak. Because keep in mind, it's not like Dak is 5 games back, right? And that's not to forgive what happened because it was unforgivable. Like you got, it's also not your first time playing together, right? So these miscommunication issues shouldn't happen. And Dalton Schultz said he got knocked off of his route. Went back and looked at the film. He got bumped. I think he could be more aggressive in staying on his route because in the bump before the route break, it knocked him off maybe a quarter of a yard. You could really have
and just in that situation,
powered through that and still ended up on a different line from Lamb as opposed to letting that linebacker, put you on Lamb's routes.
It's just the way Schultz and Lamb were right out of their breaks. The spacing was messed up to the point where that's where I'm saying, hey, it's not there. You throw it out. You take the field goal and you just live to move on because clearly that's not the way that play was designed. You see it's messed up. Just throw it away and be like, hey, we messed up, but we're going to get 3 points at least. We're not going to get the 7.
Maybe Zeke is back. So if the Cowboys can get off to a fast start and get the lead, now that lead becomes much more manageable over the course of
one more thing on that run game, though, real quick. What about the confidence to just go with Malik Davis on what would have been like one of the key plays of overtime? Like you talk about, like people think like, oh, Malik Davis is there. They'll use him in like kind of, when it's the game's out of hand or whatever. And I mean, that would have been one of the biggest plays of the game if the holding wasn't there.
I think for me, the question is, which player on this defense is going to pack their physicality with them? Because we're still talking about now, a year and a half in, the physicality of this run defense is not there. We talked about it with the San Francisco game, the playoff game. Who on this defense says enough with the finesse, enough with the missed tackles? We've got to bring a measure of physicality because to me, that's a mindset that's still lost on this team that is not going to get better unless someone makes a decision that we've got to be more physical up front and not only be more physical, but to set that tone at the beginning of the game. I remember Donovan Wilson a couple of years ago in Minnesota when he was out here heat-seeking missile, just hitting everything that was in front of him and made huge plays in that game. Who is going to show up with that kind of physicality? Because that, to me, is not something we should still be talking about with respect to this defense in my mind.
And when you say that, I think a lot of people might take that as you're just talking about defensive linemen, but you can tell the way that teams are attacking the Cowboys. They're trying to get to the perimeter. So it's
on the edge.
You're going to have to be physical with your defensive backs, too. Other guys coming up, obviously your linebackers, like you mentioned, having Barr back, that'll be huge. But it's not just the defensive line. It's everybody's got to come up and play better in the run because it's just very clear when you watch these Cowboys games, other teams have watched, they're running out on the perimeter because it's working. And everybody's watching this, all 22. Everybody knows what they're trying to do. Until you stop that, teams are going to keep doing that.
I'll be interested to see if KOC's will he go out and just go run. I think with the Packers, they were desperate. Okay, hey, look, we got defenders out, so we need to keep this ball and keep these guys. Will they do that? Because Cousins threw 50 passes in Buffalo.
And it almost lost in the football game.
And had 2 picks versus 25 rushes. So I do wonder, is KOC more like Kellen Moore? I can't help it. Got to throw it. So it's
I wonder, though, you bring that up. That's a good point because, there's a lot of people that are very critical, obviously, of Kellen Moore, especially after losses, and they talk about just run the ball, it's working. That these, I don't know if it's just the analytics side or whatever it is, they're going to tell you that you have to win games. You're going to have to hit big plays at some point. So it's the balancing of we're going to have to hit some big plays in the passing game. It's great to get 6-7 yards running the ball, and we want to keep doing that, but we have to mix that in with hitting some big plays, and that's where I feel like sometimes maybe these offensive coordinators feel like they almost have to force it a little bit because
they see expected points added numbers. Right. They see that kind of thing. Throwing the football gets you more.
If we don't do that, then we're going to have all these rushing numbers, but we're not going to win the game, and we're going to have to hit some of these big plays here or there. So.
Chicago.
Well, you've got. You've got obviously you've got a guy who can get you some big plays, and they're going to try and figure out a way to get him the football. And obviously, I think you look at last year's game; he's going to be licking his chops to come back in here and get something done. So, it's a challenge. It's a challenge, and you don't want to sit up here and be looking at 6-4, and then having to go face the Giants on Thanksgiving Day and looking at 6-5. Urgency needs to happen now. It needs to happen now. That whatever they need to clean up, I'd recommend cleaning it up here because you got You got a game on Sunday. You got to fly home and turn around here and get ready for Thursday.
This is a stretch of 3 games in 12 days for this team.
So this is a challenge. Hey, good
urgency
stuff.
to go get Odell Beckham. Sorry, go on.
Hey,
you said urgency.
Hey.
You said urgency.
Hey.
I thought of it. Sorry. Dominic and Sue, sure.
John Machota, Kevin Gray. He is Patrick Walker. I'm New East Coast. It's a media match. We'll do it again tomorrow. Well, no, we're off tomorrow. Thursday, right, Beam? Thursday we're back? Take tomorrow off?
Correct.
Okay, Thursday, media match right here on DallasCowboys.com radio. Boom, boom.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!